Welcome to this particular session. So we will see the iteration statements available in Java. Java's iteration statements are for while and do while. So these are the iteration statements, nothing but loops. Okay, so these statements create what we commonly call loops. Okay, as you probably know, a loop repeatedly executes the same set of instructions until a termination condition is met. So ultimately one can ask, what is the actual use of loops? So why actually we need a loop concept in programming? So for example, if your application or your work has to perform lot of tasks which are actually similar, then instead of writing the code set for each and every operation, it is better to put the loop, so that automatically it will be keep on executing until unless whatever the condition which is being passed to that particular loop, until and unless it will be keep on iterating, or it will be keep on executing, so that the human intervention, or as a developer you need not write so many codes. Say for example, you want to print 1,000 numbers, 1 to 1,000. So how many iterations it requires? Total 1,000 iterations it requires, isn't it? So if you are going for printf statement, for example in C, okay, so instead of writing 1,000 times printf1, printf2, printf3, printf4, like that 1,000 times, it is better to put that particular printf one line, one statement once, and you can put that that one statement inside the loop, so that the 1,000 times it can run the printf statements instead of writing the code set. So that is the one of the easiest explanation I can give for loop. So ultimately, if you want to minimize the work or the similar works which has to be taken care by the application, then you can directly rely on loop concept or looping concept. So in Java also these iteration statements are valid. So first one is while. So while loop, the while loop is Java's most fundamental loop statement. It repeats a statement or block while its controlling expression is true. Okay, so that is the general syntax where they have given while of condition inside the braces body of the loop. So whatever the code you want to execute and how many times you want to execute, you can give inside the condition, and what kind of execution you require, that you can specify inside the while loop or inside the braces. The condition can be any Boolean expression. The body of the loop will be executed as long as the conditional expression is true. The same story they are pulling out again and again. When condition becomes false, control passes to the next line of the code immediately following the loop. The curly braces are unnecessary if only a single statement is being repeated. The meaning is, so inside the body of the loop, if you have only one instruction or only one line of code, then you don't need the brackets or braces or flower brackets. Okay, so but if you have multiple number of instructions which has to be put inside the loop, then only you can go for braces. That is the meaning. So you would have seen in some of the matrix programs in your C language subject or C++ subject, if you have written the code for matrix multiplication or matrix the addition concepts, at that time to read the matrix information from the keyboard, sometimes depending on the programming again, but usually when I was a student, there was like only one for loop followed by one scanf statement just to read the input. So how many inputs you require, that many number of inputs it will be reading based on the iterating statements or looping concept. So but if you have more than one line of code, then it is compulsory to use the brackets, otherwise flower brackets. Otherwise you can directly write the instruction right after the for loop looping instruction. Okay, so you can see one example over there. So there is a while loop and followed by there is one class while. Okay, the name of the class itself while. Now then inside that you have one main method. So before continuing with the explanation, I want to say one thing here. So class capital WHILE. So if you are going for small letter w, then you may get an error. Why? While is a keyword, isn't it? It is a Java keyword. While is a Java keyword, you cannot put it as a class name. So that is the reason why they have gone for capital W. Okay, so I just wanted to mention this. If you want, if you have the system, you can try. 99% you will definitely get the error for this because it is a keyword, isn't it? But if there are any exceptions in the settings, then it is okay, but I don't think there will be any exception for these keywords because these are the preserved keywords or predefined keywords, I can say. So you cannot make use of those keywords for any other purpose. So that is the reason why they have gone for capital W. Class while, inside the braces you have one main method. Inside the main method you are initializing one variable with the name n, and you are declaring the variable with the name n, and you are initializing value 10 to that particular variable. Now after that you are going to check whether n is greater than 0. That means that is nothing but 10 is greater than 0 or not. The condition is true because 10 is definitely greater than 0. Then you are going to run the loop. So as you have two lines of code over there, that is the reason why they have gone for flower brackets after the while keyword or while loop. Okay, so you are going to print the value of n and you are decrementing the value, isn't it? N minus minus is nothing but you are decrementing the value of n by 1. So for each and every iteration, one value will be deducted from the variable name n. So until and unless the condition met, so let us iterate the values. So when n is 9, 9 is greater than 0, 8 is greater than 0, 1, until unless you reaches to 1, it will be keep on running. 1 is greater than 0, yes, you are going to run the tick value as 1. When 1 minus minus, it is nothing but 0. So 0 is greater than 0, no, the condition falls and you are coming out of the loop. This is how actually the while loop executes in general, or if you want to see the flow, it will be like in that fashion. Okay, so you have one more example over here. So there are two variables with the name a and b. Now you are going to check whether a is greater than or greater than a or greater than b or not. So as the condition fails here because 10 is not greater than 20, so system will not print, this will not be displayed. Why? So they have printed the same thing. Why this, that line will not be displayed? Because the condition fails. You don't have the condition value as true over there, isn't it? The call to print ln will never be executed in the above example because you are not coming to that condition itself. You are not meeting the condition. If it is true, then only you are going to run the loop or you are going to come inside the loop. Otherwise, directly you are coming out of the loop. That is example. So you have one more do while loop. So it is frequently used, and usually do while loops are executed when you need to execute the first time. So first execution has to be done, then you are going to check the condition. Means definitely you can go for do while. What is the meaning of that? First execution has to be done and then you are checking the condition. So for example, say just an example I'm giving here. So in social networking site, you are sending hi to a particular stranger. Okay, a random guy, say for example you are sending hi message. So hi is a default execution, so definitely you want to send hi to that person. You don't know how exactly he is or what he is. After getting the reply from that particular person, then only you will start judging, so whether this person is correct or not. Should I continue this messaging concept or chatting concept with him or not? So this is a conditional criteria which you are going to set to your brain. So in the same fashion, first execution, if it has to be done, then you can go for do while. Then after that it is going to check the actual condition. So Java supplies a loop that does just that, the do while. The do while loop always executes its body at least once because its conditional expression is at the bottom of the loop. So they are just explaining about the structure of do while, but in general, once it will be executed, then you are going to check the condition whether I have to continue with the loop or not, whether I have to continue the iteration or not. If it is not, you are coming out of the loop. Otherwise, again do while, it will be keep on executing. Fine. So general form they have given here there. So do is nothing but a keyword, a predefined keyword. Then you are having the body of the loop. Then at the end you have again while condition. So while also predefined keyword in Java. Fine. Then you are going to check the condition. So you can see this example. So you have class do while. The name of the class is do while. Inside the class you have main method. Inside the main method you have one variable which is being initialized with the value 10, which is nothing but integer. And then you have do while condition. So at the first iteration definitely it will come inside the do, whatever it may be the condition, it will get into the do block. Inside the do block you are going to print the value of n and you are decrementing the value by 1. Then you are going to check the condition. Fine. Now definitely you may ask, if the n value is 0, then how it will work? Definitely it will print 0. Then it will check the condition. 0 is not greater than 0. It will come out of the loop. Even though n is 0 for the first time also, it will definitely print the value 0 over there for the first time. Then you cannot definitely 0 minus minus, it won't it won't be in a proper manner, and minus 1 is not greater than 0, you are coming out of the loop. So in that fashion it will execute. So if you have the system, you can try out this particular looping concept. Next you have for loop. Okay, so in for, whenever I talk about Java, you have little little bit complexity you can think of, or I don't want to say complexity, it is a feature I can say. Okay, for, there are two types of for in Java. So one is normal for, whatever the for you are using in day-to-day programming life. Another one is for each loop. So there are two types of for loop. They act as similar, not same. Because in for loop, what is the syntax? So you have initialization, then you have condition checking, then you have iteration. What is the meaning? So it's something like for I equal to 0, I lesser than 10, or I lesser than or equal to 5, or something like that. Then I plus plus, or I minus minus, or plus plus I, or minus minus I, or something like that. Again, iteration concepts. But that is a normal syntax for normal for loop. You can see in that slide. So it is a general concept. But beginning with the JDK 5, they say, so Java Development Kit. So JDK is nothing but Java Development Kit. In the initial stages only I said. So if you want to start with the Java concept, you need that kit or JDK. So using JDK only, you will get all the compilers and all the packages and whatever the requirements required for the Java, it will be provided by JDK. Okay, it's a kind of package I can say. Okay, you have to install that JDK to your system, then only you can continue with the Java concepts. Okay, so there are two forms of the for loop. The first one is traditional form, that is what just I explained. The second one is for each form. So for each is nothing but a keyword again. Okay, so if you are going to use the for each concept, it is you have a keyword also, but here they have, in the example they have given a slight change, but the syntax will be different. That's it. Concept will be same, execution will be almost same, but the keyword and the syntax will be little bit differ from the traditional for loop. So what is the traditional for loop? You can see the syntax for the traditional for loop. So if the last line, you can see, if only one statement is being repeated, there is no need for the curly braces. The same thing, same story they have again included in that particular textbook. The for loop operates as follows. When the loop first starts, the initialization portion of the loop is executed. Generally this is an expression that sets the value of the loop control variable, which acts as counter that controls the loop. It is important to understand the initialization expression is only executed once. Next condition is evaluated. It is obviously, isn't it? You are going to initialize the value for the first time, I equal to 0 first time. Then after the iteration, you may be changing the value. But initialization value will never be changed. You are going to change the conditional value, isn't it? Say for example, I equal to 0, I lesser than 5, I plus plus means for the next iteration, I value will become 1. Then in the next iteration or second iteration, I value will become 2 or 3, in that fraction. Then again you are going to check whether 1 is greater than 5 or 2 is greater than 5. Something like you will be keep on checking, isn't it? In the for loop in general. So that is what they have put all those things in their own words. So this is how, see, programming language is actually very easy to score. How? If you know how to write the program, the same sentence you have to make in your own own words. Or you can pull out some own concepts whichever you do inside the programming. Then definitely no one can put that wrong for those answers, isn't it? Ultimately, whatever the concept you do, you have to write it in English. then your theory part is almost done. So it is very easy. You don't need to worry much on programming subjects, not only Java, in any programming language. So if you know how to write the program, then you can pull out your own words, isn't it? You can put all those words on the paper, so that your theory part will be finished. Fine. So next, there is a demonstration for the loop concept. So first one is there is a class name with the ForTick. Okay, next you have inside the class you have one main method. Inside the main method you have one variable with the name n. So you are just trying out the for loop. So n equal to 10, n greater than 0, n minus minus. So it is a ulta loop. You are not incrementing, you are decrementing. Okay, so it will be like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, so on up to. So 0 greater than 0, no, 0 is not greater than 0, then your for loop fails. Till 1 it will be keep on running. When it becomes 0, then your condition fails and you are coming out of the loop. So if you have the system, I request you to execute this. Just by seeing the slide, just by listening to my explanations, it won't be helpful for you to analyze the program. I'm saying that. Now definitely you can say, sir, I have executed this for loop more than 50 times or 100 times in the previous semesters or while writing the programming. I agree with that, but never forget the actual concepts or basics of the basic concepts of any programming, because basic concepts are the building blocks of your programming knowledge or programming era. Okay, so you have to remember like that. The next thing is declaring loop control variable inside the for loop. So this is somewhat different, but probably you would have seen this. Directly you can jump to the example. So you have one class name with the ForTick. Inside the class you have one main method. Inside the main method you are not declaring any variable, but inside the for loop only you are declaring. Can you see there? Int n equal to 10. Instead of just, they have reduced one line itself just by combining your declaration and initialization inside the for loop. Probably you would have seen such kind of codes in your lab programs or in the textbook or anywhere. Some these concepts are actually famous. So just by if you want to decrease the number of lines which is present in your code, you can combine the codes. If it is valid, then only you can combine. It is not like everywhere you can initialize. No, nothing like that. Everywhere you can declare. No. So if it is valid, if the conditions are possible to execute after combining these instructions, then only you can go for it. Otherwise, don't go. You may get the error. Okay, so you can see inside the for loop you have int n equal to 10, n greater than 0, and same story again. So that is nothing but you are declaring and initializing the variable inside the for loop. That is the meaning. So that is the concept. That's it. Fine. So the same thing they have put in their own words. Now in the last line you can see it is very important. It is not just, that is the reason why I just put that particular points over there. The scope of that variable ends when the for statement executes. After the for statements, the scope will not be there for that variable, isn't it? There is a concept of global scope and local scope. So inside the loop, if you have any variable in initialization, then the scope of that variable is valid till there. If you have put some variable inside the block, the variable the scope of that variable will be inside the block itself. Outside the block it is invalid. But if you declare the variable globally, right after you are if I want to say the concept or example of C, because you are familiar with the C, you have already executed the programs in C, you probably did not touch the Java so far. I'm assuming like that. If that is the case, after the header file, if you are declaring any variable, the scope of that variable will be globally accepted. Globally accepted is nothing but any part of the program you can access the variable. So that is global scope. But if you are putting any variable inside the block, then it is a local scope. So it is valid, or the lifetime of that particular variable is within the block. Outside the block, it is invalid. So even though you are trying to access that particular variable outside the block, compiler will throw an error saying that invalid or the variable undefined, something like that. Fine. So that is what I just wanted to say. That is the reason why I put that particular point which has to be remembered for explanation. Fine. Next, the next thing is for each version of the for loop. So it is a version of the for loop. Actually, for each there is a keyword. You can use that keyword for the execution or writing the program. But in this case, they have used for each version for loop. Now don't get confused. I will read out the theory part, and when you see the programming code or snippet, you will definitely get to know what I was trying to say. Fine. The first point is the second form of the the second form of for was defined that implements a for each style loop. So as if you are new to for each, definitely you have to see the code, then only you can get to know. Okay, the second point is for each loop can be possible by using the keyword for each. There is a keyword actually, but using the for loop also you can execute some to some extent. Okay, Java adds the for each capability by enhancing the statement. The advantage of this approach is that no new keyword is required. Okay, and no pre-existing code is broken. The for each style of for is also referred to as the enhanced for loop. So all these theory concepts, but when you execute it will be very easy. Okay, now you can see this general statement over there. For inside the bracket, you don't have initialization, condition checking, and iteration concept. Directly you have type of the iteration variable and collection. Collection is nothing but usually for each loop is used for any arrays. If you have character array, or string array, or you can float array or integer array, any kind of arrays. So collection is nothing but collection of data. Next you have statement block. Okay, the iteration variable receives the value from the collection. Type must be same as the element stored in the collection. Remember, if you are using integer array, then type of the iteration variable will be should be integer. If you are having a character array, then the variable should be char. So there should not be any mismatch with respect to the data types. If that is the case, say for example you have the variable of type character and you are trying to print the value which is stored in the array is nothing but if it is integer, then it is not possible. You cannot execute such kind of and there will be a compatible issue, I can say like that. If there any compatible issue, you are definitely going to get the error. Now what I just was trying to say means, so you can see this example. So you have int nums, you have one integer array with the name nums. So 1 to 10 elements are there in that nums variable. Fine. Now you have one more variable with the name sum, which is being initialized 0. Okay, next you have one for loop that is a traditional concept of for loop, that is nothing but int I equal to 0, I lesser than 10, I plus plus, and sum plus equal to num of I. That is nothing but you are in this particular code snippet, you are adding all the elements which is stored in nums array. That is the reason why they have gone for that, isn't it? You can analyze the code. If you have a system, you can execute, or if even though you analyze the code, you can see sum plus equal to nums of I. What is that? In the first iteration, sum is nothing but 0. You in the above line you have initialized 0. 0 equal to 0 plus num of I, num of 0, isn't it? Num of 0 is nothing but 0th element, that is 1. So sum will be initialized with 1. In the next iteration, what happens? Sum value will be 1 plus num of I, num of 1. So num of 1 is 2, isn't it? In the array, 1th position or first position, I can say 0th, after 0th position, first position is the value 2. So 1 plus 2, 3 will be stored in sum. How many times it will run? Up to 10 times, isn't it? 10 or 9. So analyze it. 10 times it will run, then you are coming out of the loop. So but the second example you can see, that is a for each style of loop, where you have one class. Inside the class you have a main method. Inside the main method you are initializing the array. Inside and after initializing you have one more variable. Then you are using for each style of for loop. See, inside the for loop, int x colon nums, isn't it? It is somewhat different, right? That is a separate style of writing the for loop, isn't it? There is no concept of iteration, there is no concept of initialization, there is no concept of condition checking inside the for loop. Directly you will be having one variable and you have colon, then you have nums or collection of data. Now after executing that for loop, getting into the for loop, inside the for loop brackets, what is there? So it is println value is x. That is nothing but now x will be int x colon nums, means always remember, if you are using for each loop, it will start from the 0th position always. If you are not giving any kind of executional statements or conditions, always it will start from 0th position to end of the position or end of the loop or end of the array. So all the elements will be fetched from the array if you are using for each. Now you can ask, sir, we did not initialize the value for x, isn't it? There is no concept of x equal to 0. Directly you are declaring the variable x and you are directly starting with the printing itself. Then you may definitely ask, sir, if that is the case, can we expect the garbage value? Because you are not initializing any value for the first time also. No, in for each loop, whatever the variable you are declaring, that variable will be pointing to the 0th position of the collection, 0th position of the array. Fine. So whatever the elements present in the array, all the elements will be fetched from there, and for the operations it can be used. Now that is the thing what you see in the second line. See, sum plus equal to x. That is nothing but you are adding up all the elements which are present inside the array. Now at the end you are going to print once the condition fails, or in this case, when it will come out of the loop, when array element is last position, when the pointer is in the last position of the array. That is nothing. We say, for example, num of 9th position, isn't it? Num of 9th position is nothing but value 10, and you don't have num of 10th position because you don't have the value itself. After fetching the value 10, the control will come out and you are going to print the summation or sum of the all the elements which was present in the inside that nums variable or nums array. Fine. So for the better approaches, you can execute if you have the system, or if you have the phone, you can go for the online compilers. You can write this code and you can see the beauty of this particular for each loop. So it is actually minimizing the complexity level. Actually, if you see that, so there is no concept of iteration, there is no concept of the condition checking and all. Whatever the elements, or how many number of elements, it may be any number of elements which is stored in the array, it will fetch all the elements from 0th index to n-1 index or last index. Fine. So now you have nested loop. Concept of nested loop. Nested loop is nothing but loop inside the loop. So you can see the example itself. So it is nothing but you have the class name nested. Inside the class you have one main method. Inside the main method you have two variables I and j. And the first for loop is for I, second for loop is for j, and you are going to print a dot, and you have one print new line concept. Fine. So what it will do, first it will initialize the value for I equal to 0, I lesser than I plus plus. You are coming inside the loop. Then you have j equal to I. J equal to I is nothing but j equal to 0, 0 lesser than 10, j 0 plus plus. So how many times it will run for loop for j first. Then after that, once the condition fails, it will go out for the outer loop. That is nothing but for I equal to 0, that loop, I will be incremented by 1. Again you are coming inside the for j loop. J loop will be executed. Again you are going out of the loop and you are checking the I value. Then again you are coming inside the loop. So ultimately you are going to print the output as in this fashion. So this kind of pattern will be produced for that particular code. Okay, so if you have the system, execute this, and you can make changes in the code also for the different patterns. Say instead of dot you can go for star, and you can change the type of pattern. You can make it ulta. First one dot, next in the next line 2 dot, the last line third line 3 dot, fourth line 4 dots, like that you can print. So these are, see, this kind of examples are, easily, usually, or frequently asked in interviews and all. So just to check the capability of the candidate in terms of programming, they go for this kind of patterns. So it is better if you practice this kind of programs. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can come back to me, as we don't have system here to execute and show to you. So I'm just giving the code snippet. If you have the system, execute it. Otherwise I will put one programming video definitely after this particular unit. Fine. The next one is jump statement. So after this I will wind up. So jump statement is nothing but, say for example, you are inside the loop, and you at one point of time you want to come out of the loop forcefully. If you want to come out of the loop, then you can go for break keyword. Fine. Java supports 3 jump statements: break, continue, and return. Okay, these statements transfer the control to another part of the program. That is nothing but if you want to jump to another place or inside. So in terms of break, say you can remember the concept of switch statements. There, after the case, you have the concept of break, isn't it? That means after that execution of that particular case, you have to forcefully come out of that particular series of cases. You are coming out of the condition itself. In the same fashion, there are 3 types: break, continue, and return. These 3 are the keywords available in Java. Using break in Java, the break statement has 3 uses. First one is, as you've seen, it terminates the statement sequence in a switch statement. Okay, no, that is sorry. Already I have given the explanation for that. Okay, the second one, it can be used to exit the loop definitely. So if you have the loop in the initial stage, and I said if you are putting the break statement inside the loop, after some point of time it will come out forcefully. You are coming out of the loop. The third one is, it can be used as a civilized form of goto. So have you ever used goto? If you have used goto, recall all the programming concepts. Goto is nothing but forcefully you are transferring the control from one line of code to the next line of code or some other part of the program. Okay, so goto also a keyword actually. It is also a keyword, and it is available in Java also. Fine. So you can see one code snippet. So for this video, till break I will do, return and continue I will explain in the next video. Okay, using break to exit the loop. So you can see the example. You have one class with the name break loop. Inside the class you have one main method. Inside the main method you have one for loop. So you are declaring and initializing the variable I equals 0, I lesser than 100, I plus plus. Inside the loop you are going to check if I equal 10 or not. If it is the case, if that is the case, you are coming out of the loop. Otherwise you are keep on running. So how many times this loop will run? Up to 10, isn't it? When I becomes 10, you are going to break or you are going to terminate the loop. That means output will be from 0 to 10. Isn't it? You are not running this loop for 100 times. When the condition becomes true, if I equal to 10, then you are coming out of the loop. Directly you are printing loop complete. That's it. That means 0 to 10 it will print on the monitor. Then you in the last line it will be loop complete. It won't print 11, 12, 13. It won't. But as far as the for loop is concerned, then it has to run from 0 to 100, isn't it? But in between, you are after 10, in between you are breaking the loop. Forcefully you are breaking the loop. And once the break statement encountered, it will definitely come out of the loop. It will terminate the loop concept. Okay, so again and again I want to say, if you have a system, please run this. Otherwise it will be a problem, because just by seeing the slide it is not enough. In programming languages you have to do hands-on, or you have to manually execute the programs. Then only it will be beneficial for you. Okay, so now let me wind up the concept here. If you have any doubt, definitely you can get back to me, and if you don't have the doubt, you can execute. If you have the system, definitely you have to execute. If you don't have the system, I will put one video next. Once I put the video, I will give some assignments. You have to, if you have the system, you can send the output screenshot. Otherwise you have to write and you have to send the thing. It will be small programs, don't worry. It will not be any hurdle for you. You can, it is very easy. It will be very easy. You can recall all the concepts in which whatever I have taught in the first unit. It will be all the basic concepts actually for the first unit. So you can recall all the concepts and you can write your own programs. Ultimately in Java, program is very important. You have to practice the programming thing. It is not only Java, it may be C, C++, HTML, any programming language. Ultimately, you should know how to program. But writing the theory is not a big deal. But you should know how to put the logic, how to get the output, how to write the program error free, how to make it most efficient one. These things are required actually as a programmer or as a developer. Fine. So we will think all those things in the later stages. But as of now, let me wind up here. So return and rest of the concept will be provided in the next video. Thanks for watching.